After months of protest, Iran is shutting down the morality police. These protests are coming about over the past few months in Iran because of a 22-year-old woman, Mahsa Amini, who was killed by the morality police. Iran is abolishing the morality police according to an announcement by the Attorney General following months of protests set off by the death of a young woman who was being held by the force for supposedly violating the country's strict Islamic dress laws. The protests have been so out of hand over the past few months that Iran just gave in. Over the past few months, this has been a major challenge for Iran, and this is the first concession that they're giving to the protesters. They're starting to bend the knee. The morality police, quote, was abolished by the same authorities who installed it, said the Attorney General Mohammad Javad Montazeri. He also went on to say that officials and authorities would also be reviewing headscarf regulations. This was a little vague and not the most clear on if there would be actual changes on the enforcement of the dress code or whether authorities were planning to relax the hijab law, which is still in place. The primary role of the morality police was to enforce these laws related to Iran's conservative Islamic dress code. These were first introduced around 1979 when their new revolutionary leader said that, hey, we're going to be modest over here in Iran. That's how we're dressing. The dress code for women, it became an ideological pillar of the culture and establishment. Essentially, they wanted their women to not wear anything tight and to be wearing loose clothing and have their head covered up in a scarf. When Amini died in custody after being arrested by the morality police on Tehran Street, the nationwide protests that followed focused initially on the Islamic dress laws and how ridiculous they were. 3 months into protesting, it started with them hating on the dress codes and rules, but now they're saying, you know what? This entire establishment, it's haram. Guidance patrols or morality police are completely focused on women. Moreover, it illustrates how the state abuses women's rights. In this particular case, where a young woman died as a result of simply not wearing her veil correctly, that was the trigger for the Iranian people putting their foot down and saying enough is enough. In the period between 1979 and 1990, when the morality police was formally established, women were subject to a great deal of pressure, often from random people on the street or police officers. It was also common for them to be harassed and attacked because they did not correctly wear the hijab. In 1979, the leader of the revolution wanted to ensure that everyone was dressing modestly. One of the most ironic parts of this is in 1936, women were beaten by police during this time for wearing veils. And 43 years later, the rules completely switched around. Go figure. 43 years later, now you're supposed to. Today, women face fines and up to 74 lashes from the morality police, and it really depends on who the sitting president is on how strict they're going to be. Some presidents are like, you know what, morality police, they're a little more chillaxed with it. Our most recent president, not so much. Iranian authorities have also accused the United States, Israel, European powers, and Saudi Arabia for being behind the persisting unrest, saying that they're using Amini's death as an excuse to target the country and its foundations. What I find extremely crazy is Iranian authorities claim that she had a heart attack in one of their guidance centers. Now, what's a guidance center? Well, it's a type of re-education center where women are taught how to follow Iran's rules on female clothing. They're dedicating resources to this. Now, there is no single rule book on how to dress, but general regulations are observed, which mainly mandate how women are covering their hair, usually with a headscarf known as a hijab, and wear clothing that is loose-fitting and doesn't expose their chests. Men are subject to some guidelines, but they're really not that strict. Their rules are like, don't wear a t-shirt or shorts because it's too Western. It'll be interesting to see where this goes and what kind of changes come about from this, but at the end of the day, they could just do nothing. But if there is one thing I'm certain of, it does not sound like a good time to live in Iran. Imagine you're just walking down the street and a white van just pulls up next to you and says, you know what? We're gonna detain you because you need to be retaught on how to dress that follows the rules of our country. I'll pass. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. Click the bell for notifications for future videos. This has been Down with Don's Wisdom. See you on the next one.